Hi guys, welcome to my most tutorials. On our previous videos, we looked at the at Lamarck and Darwin's ideas. We looked at the theories of evolution. Now let's apply them practically. We are having A, B, C showing us the cacti plant, which is a desert plant, right? So at first at A, there are many cacti plants. There's variation among the plants, though I'm sure you can see they are not exactly the same. Some have long roots and some have got short roots. I'm sure you can see the shorter roots and the longer roots, right? But then on section B now, only cacti plants with the longer roots are present. The ones with shorter roots are absent. They have died. Okay? Moving on to C, only the plants with longer roots were able to reproduce, to form offsprings with longer roots. So with that being said now, using Darwin's as explanation, right? Using Darwin's theories, the first question says, describe the variation in the population. I'm sure you have seen, as a result of genetic variation, right, in the cacti population, some cacti plants had longer roots than others. They are the same species. We are looking at Darwin's theories, right? They are the same species, but the difference now is that there is variation among the same species. We might all be people, but we are not exactly the same. Memory is very tall and tiny. You realize somebody is very short. That's variation, right? But then we are the same species. We are all human beings. So that's what's happening on the first step, right? What was the challenge now? So as a result of drought, competition for water took place. Those who had short roots, they died. And those who had longer roots, they survived. Because the longer roots are, it means you can even go deeper to get water for yourself, and you'll be sustained. And what was the result of the challenge? The result of the challenge simply made the ones with shorter roots to die and those with longer roots to survive. And then what do we call this process? It's natural selection. There's no human interference. It's happening naturally, right? It's natural selection taking place here. The question goes on to say, what happened to the favorite characteristics? So the allele for longer roots was passed on to subsequent generation. It was passed on to to their offsprings. So at the end of the day, we ended up getting the cacti plants with longer roots. So what were the results? Eventually, all the plants had longer roots. That's with Darwin's theory. What about when we look at it from the Lamarck's point of view? So from Lamarck's point of view, when we look what was the original characteristics at the start, all the cacti plants had short roots originally, right? You know, they were not that long at the beginning. But then what did the organisms do? The cacti frequently stretched their roots. That's according to Lamarck. Remember, Lamarck believes that the characteristics, you actually acquire them as you grow, right? You acquire these characteristics as you live, right? So why did the organisms do this? They did this to reach deeper for water in the soil. Lamarck believes that we begin with average roots, shorter roots, and as time went on, the plants realized that in this particular environment, we are having less water. We rather develop longer roots. That's according to Lamarck, right? What was the result? So at the results is, at the end of the day, plants became the plants ended up with longer roots. But then what happened to these new characteristics? The characteristic of long roots acquired in this way was then passed on to the next generation. Remember, Lamarck believes in acquiring characteristics during your journey of life. So the favorable acquired characteristics are then passed on to the next generation. And what's the results? The results at the end of the day we are having plants with longer roots. Okay, so what this says is that Lamarck believes that we acquire these characteristics as we grow or as we live. But according to Darwin believes that there is natural selection. Natural selection simply said those that are naturally favored, they are going to exist and pass on their favorable characteristics to the other. But then the unfavorable ones, they are just going to die and not go on to the next generation. Okay, I hope you guys are benefiting from this. And our next concept, we'll be looking at the differences between natural selection and artificial selection. See you on our